shelter, Lord, from this storm. As it poured, you made it pure. In an overcrowded mind, the hurt, it brings us down to where we reach for Him. Our God above has hands to heal, saves us from our faults and fears, giving
Head and play the game. So the rule of the game is that you put a block on each other. So I'm gonna start. I'll pick a block and then we stack it up and see how high we can go with this.
Just one on the other one?
Yes. You don't have you can adjust it.
So you have to be connected. So you have like two or just
no,
one?
Just one. It's going to be just a straight line. And we see how far we go with this. Okay. Okay. I mean, we've.
I'm trying to be very careful now.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's what family is about. Because if you are building, you really have to pay attention to what you're building, and you need to be very careful. And if one is not careful, you know, every little decision that we're making can cause the family. And so we're building as high as we can, and it seems to be going on smoothly. And everyone seems to, Roger said, you've mastered this thing.
So not really, I'm just...
Okay. Let's see. And it's going on. Okay. All right, we're getting there. Okay, I hope we won't get to the ceiling with this. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Oh, this seems hard.
Do we have to like stand up or something?
We can stand.
Yeah. I mean
there you go. Okay, this is getting taller than expected.
I guess
there you go. Okay. Well, so we see that making effort to build as high as possible is more like a teamwork. We're trying to get it to as high as we possibly could, but it's quite obvious that it came down crumbling.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people don't really pay attention to, you asked a very valid and important question at the start, that how wide do we want the base to be?
Yeah.
And that is what a family should be, that we must think about the foundation.
Yeah.
And the decisions start with, who am I going to build this family with? Mm-hmm. And if I'm not careful, if I make a wrong choice at the start, then how high I'm going to build would be limited.
Yeah.
And you've been married, Bro Joseph, and you know a little bit about what it takes to either to woo a woman or to convince a lady. So there's always this question of how did you get to that point of saying that, this woman is for me, or vice versa for the opposite sex, that this man is for me. And I think most people will reason along that line, to ask a valid question. How do I identify somebody? I'm going to start with myself. God told me specifically, and that is the foundation of everything. We're going to talk more about this as we do this faith clinic, as we do this family clinic. How is God communicating his intent to you? Because the communication of God to you is what is going to build a sense of mission. And for you to have a partner or the support of a partner, you have to have something you're doing. Not necessarily that you have clarity of mission or goals, but at least you have a drive. There is a drive in life, and that drive is not from motivation of I want to make a lot of money. Because in marriage, money is not going to sustain the relationship. So in my own case, God said, I'm going to present your wife to you. And the convincing statement to my wife was also the backing of God, that this is what God told me about myself. And I believe that you will be a support to that instruction of God. So I just want to ask you, how did you come up with the whole idea of marriage?
It's still very kind of clear to me when I met my wife. Then I know she has her own story. I have mine. When I met her, I just said, well, I think this is what I want. Because she was calm, she was really quiet. And I know I can be a little loud, and I wanted someone that was quiet. To kind of complement my. But then. Because we didn't spend time together before I left Nigeria then. But I had this conviction that she's my wife. And she asked me a question, what do you want from me? So that question kind of struck me. I was like, oh, okay. I think she has a purpose. She just don't want to know me and just, she had a plan and purpose. And I found out later on that she already knew I was going to be her husband anyways. Okay. But I just didn't know. Okay. But she, on her own part, she knew. But my own part, I was like, she's quiet, she's cool, she's calm, she's intelligent. I was like, okay. So I started talking to God about it. Who is this lady? Is this someone that I should, And I had a pastor friend then that I spoke to about it too, and we prayed about it. And he said, well, I think you're making the right choice. I said, yeah, I feel the same thing too. And so the foundation of our relationship was basically on God. And in the last time, I've been married for this year, making the 4 years, and we've been happy. Have 2 kids, and we're still going stronger and stronger by the day.
Yeah, I appreciate that you mentioned you have a pastor friend, and this is one thing I try to convince people of. The moment you start developing or having a desire towards somebody, already your spiritual senses, are dead at that point. You like somebody, you love somebody, you want to be with this person, you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, whether by divine arrangement or by, appearance or how you perceive the person. At that point, you need a spiritual check-in. And through this means of checking with spiritual authority, we have more clarity, either an affirmation of you're making the right decision, God is leading you through the process, or you are heading in for danger. And we don't want to head for danger, because what you start your relationship with, what you start your family with, is what you're going to build upon. And if we don't understand this, we will have crisis, where we have issues. And the goal of Family Clinic is really that people will begin to learn from, from us, or learn from the mission or the church of God's pattern for family, or how a family should look like. Playing in the family, having fun in the family is not going to eliminate the foundational problem. You cannot cover it up, you cannot sugarcoat it, you cannot pretend for so long. And that's one thing I've been saying to people, that you will see a pattern of behavior before you start.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you categorically that, everyone's life is work in progress. And if you don't see this work in progress, all you see is a fixed man or a fixed woman, there's already going to be a problem. And so we're going to talk about this, some of the things you think marriage helped you to adjust, something that you have to start building, from, oh no, this is the way I see life, or this is my approach to things before, but now in marriage, I'm doing it differently. I don't even have an idea, have the capacity to do it. I'm going to start with myself. I'm very an early person.
Yeah.
If you wake me up at 5 o'clock, I can jump right up and start thinking and start operating. But I realize my wife is different.
Yeah.
My wife can stay late, far late.
Yeah.
And so I would like to go to bed. I still try as much as possible to get to bed before 10 o'clock. Or now I begin to go a little later.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of our relationship, it wasn't like that because I have a clear understanding of my identity. So I would rather go to bed early as 9, 10 o'clock and get off the bed before it's even 5 or sometimes 5 o'clock. And so I had to adjust. I had to build a system where I can again enjoy the company of my wife while she's still active, during the night. And then, when I get up in the morning, I'm still not a little lethargic. I can still wake up maybe a little later, maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, but just to accommodate and compromise a mindset of the way of working of me. So what about you? How was that like for you?
Yeah, well, I can't say I'm early person or late person. So it just depends on what I want to do, all my plans for the day. I can wake up really early. I can wake up really late if I want to. But since I got married, my wife doesn't sleep that much. She can sleep for like 4 or 5 hours. The next thing she's like, yeah, why is I'm like, yeah, I'm still sleeping. It's like 5 a.m. Can I catch a little more sleep? No, we have to do something. Like, but we're not going anywhere, but I try to, I'm still learning though. And she's like, why are you slow this way? I said, because I don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock. I want to be on the bed, But I try to adjust. Maybe I find that sometimes she wants to talk. She wants to do 1 or 2 things. So I try to like stay awake, and be part of whatever she's trying to do. And I go to bed very late, and she goes to bed late. I mean, sometimes early, sometimes late, And I've learned something from her over the years. She would pop into, sometimes if I'm in the bedroom, she's in the other room, she'll just pop in and check on us. I'm like, this will be my job to do this. Why? So I've learned to okay, I'll just get up my bed, sometimes and check, the kids and see how they're doing, So I've learned that stuff over the years, but we and also we try to enjoy each other's company. Sometimes I like to see movies by myself, where I can move it forward, rewind forward. But now I learn to stay with her and just, enjoy the movie and just, those boring scenes I don't want to see. Like just enjoy. So I've learned to be more patient now. That's one thing because before now, my mom said, if you want to go for your life, you have to be patient. But I don't have. But before I got married, but getting married, that taught me to be more patient and calm.
Well, you said something which is the dynamics. So it's not one bullet fits all, so to speak. And again, this family clinic is not patterning your marriage or put unnecessary expectation on your family, because you're learning from this family. And we're going to get there. It's really understanding the dynamics of your home. Because if you lack the understanding of God's dynamics for your home, you will be in trouble. You try to copy from this person, copy from this other person. And we need to be careful, even as spiritual authority as well, not to project a system that fitting for us. Abraham said to Sarah, I have to leave my father's land. Abraham said to Sarah, God made a promise to me that we need to sacrifice, or maybe he didn't mention it to Sarah that we need to sacrifice Isaac, but there was a decision-making process there. So I cannot copy that from Abraham. I cannot say, well, God said Abraham should sacrifice his son, and that is exactly what I want to do. Again, there is a place of God's instruction for your family. Understanding the dynamics of your home is so important. You mentioned about adjustment. You mentioned about accommodating your spouse. If you are a fixed person, if you are not careful, you don't pay attention to because marriage is like a field. You don't understand the season God is going to take you. And I've learned this over time in our marriage, that seasons are bound to change.
Yeah.
You know, we're going through situations we've never been through before.
Yeah.
Neither my wife nor myself have been through a situation of adjusting to a country like this, for example, or a season of, oh, we're going to change our immigration status, or, you know, having a kid. We've never had that experience before. The closest to that is whether taking care of our siblings.
Yeah.
So these things takes time. I've never taken care of a pregnant woman before. Have you? Maybe not. So things will unfold.
Yeah.
You will be in a season that is unique to you.
Yeah.
And so family clinic is not coming to a therapy session and say, I know it by the book. I know how it works. I know what will make it work.
Yeah.
And that is why marriages are failing, because we have a projection, the standard of the world or the standard of other people as the standard for us. Every individual in the scripture are very unique. And that is another thing that, you know, that people don't know, is about understanding the mission of God for the relationship. The first thing is very clear, that he seeks godly offspring from the union. That's very, very succinct and very clear, that is one of the reasons God instituted marriage. But we're not going to talk about that, because we want this, you know, family clinic to be as practical as possible. You were talking about, you know, watching movies. Is there a movie you have to let go? For example, maybe you like a certain sport, like boxing, and then at the end of the day, you are married to a woman that hates violence of any kind. How are you able to handle that?
Well, funny enough, we share some kind of likeness to some of these sports. My wife, I like wrestling, and she loves wrestling.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we can. Sometimes if I stay up, maybe I'm in the lab, you know, and she'll call me like, what's the station to SmackDown on Friday? I'm like, oh, Friday SmackDown? Okay, it should be, I think, channel 11 or 12, I can't remember. We just look between 11 and 20, you find it there, you know.
Wow.
So we share Monday Night Raw, Friday SmackDown, and, you know, but at some point we just, when the kids came now, we're like, this kind of a little bit violent. So we just let go. So we agreed, and all of a sudden we just found that we just lost interest in wrestling. We don't really bother about it anymore, you know, and so I love action movies, where you have the big guns and stuff like that, you know. I just fancy technology and the way people put these things together. And she was telling me some days ago, like some months ago, that you know, this shooting and killing people in movies, I don't think we should be seeing those kind of movies again. I love zombie movies. I've seen the entire, what do you call it now? Walking Dead, yeah. She was like, maybe we shouldn't be seeing those kind of movies. I was like, yeah, that's true, you're right. So I had to let go my action movies, let go my zombie movies, you know. And now we just watch quiet movies that we just, you know, we just look at the storyline and say, okay, well, this will make sense. So something quiet and something that children can even learn from. So we've moved from this craziness movies to very serene and quiet movies now.
That's quite interesting. Did that make you angry, offended?
No way. No. She was saying, I think this movie, so as we were watching, she was okay, well, this was going to happen. I'm like, hi, were you there when they wrote the script? So we just had these conversations, and I found that I enjoyed the movie when she's like, okay, this was going to happen next. So when it doesn't happen, I was like, okay, you didn't get it right. Like, yeah, well, I just guessed, you know. So I don't think I'm missing anything from letting go of those movies, you know.
Well, recently, this is one instruction God gave to me, that if you want to know who you are, increase your responsibility.
Yeah.
If you truly want to know your identities, I'm not good at this. Okay, that's fine. Increase your responsibility. And I realized that the shift you've experienced in your marriage was also as a result of trying to protect what your kids are exposed to.
Sure.
The adjustment was more like, I don't think I want to trade the future of my kids or the character of my kids for an immediate enjoyment of a movie. Whether it is good or bad, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And that was so easy for both of you, because you share the same, you know, understanding with that. There's no need to fight each other as a result of that. No. It's just a movie.
Yeah.
You know, and that is my, you know, advocate for people. there are so many things we can compromise.
Sure.
Well, you shared about your value, the commonality between the two of you. It's the same with myself and my wife. One of the things that is very, very unique to us that we think we have so many, things that we agree together in terms of value. One of it is that gossip.
Yeah.
We both hate it to the point that we can we just dislike the fact that people can build falsehood from other people's life without finding out the truth. We don't like that. We also don't like injustice.
Yeah.
So basically, there's so many things that you will see, that will start unfolding in the relationship that this person is not against me. And that is where the mission comes in. That is where there is a desire that is going to come from within, as you begin to find out that common interest. Mm-hmm. And so, just for the sake of those watching, it's not that there is perfection anywhere. Yeah. It's not like everything is smooth.
No.
But we have to always go to a place of what do we want to protect?
Yes.
What are we trying to protect in this marriage? What are we trying to achieve in this marriage? When God gave us instruction in our home, for example, that I'm raising a new generation through you, that was enough for me to say, I can't afford to project a different attribute of God in my family. And that span across everything. I can't afford to tell lies. I can't afford to drink. I can't afford to say, I'm coming home at 9 and then I show up at 10, without a justifiable reason. And that's one of the things that we see when we start observing those cracks, those loopholes, integrity we're losing integrity in the process. But let's go back to a system, because again, this is marriage under attack, godly homes under attack. What do you think is influencing, partners nowadays? The other day we were having a conversation about what do we do about this? Do we need to get this material for the kids or we don't? And we're talking about technology. So what do you think is affecting the dynamics of godly homes now? I can list a few, but I just want us to talk about it and how that has shaped your own marriage. I will talk about how that has shaped my own marriage. Let me go first by saying that a point came in our relationship that my wife said, I'm off social media completely. And being a minister, being a pastor, you want to keep projecting the message of God. And one thing God told me about her is that I cannot be a Holy Spirit. I have to push her to the place of fellowship with God so that she can hear instruction for herself. So when she comes to me with instruction like that, I've developed a sense of, you do whatever God is telling you to do. And so that is one of the things that I felt, okay, if that is affecting you or dictating how you feel in the relationship, then that so be it. So I want to give it back to you. What do you think?
There are a couple of things that that happens in marriages these days. One of them is people try to compare and try to copy. So when you compare and copy, it becomes, so you put yourself under pressure. This people just got a new car. Why can't we get a new car? By asking yourself, the question should be, why do I need a new car? But if you ask those kind of questions, the next thing you may not even have the finances, but you just get a car, and next thing you don't have the money to even take care of yourselves. So when you compare and you copy, it becomes a problem. So I think that's the major problem that we're having in society these days. You want to get married, you don't have the finances, but you say, sister, this, brother, this did their weddings, and I want mine to be like that. Now you ask the fundamental question, can we afford it? I've always been an advocate against spending your money on weddings rather spend your money on marriage. So I think copying and comparing can be very dangerous when you're not careful and could destroy the family. No matter how how disciplined you guys are. I mean, if you are comparing and you are copying one another, because God is working with your family differently.
Right.
I want you said that the dynamism of your family. But if you're living that and not allowing God to operate in your family, and you're looking at somebody else's family and like, yeah, brother, I like the way they do. God is dealing with them separately. So understand what God is saying to you concerning your family, and if you're doing that, you enjoy yourself and your family, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like that 2 points you raised about copying and comparing other family. You'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because the instruction of God is specific to you, specific to your family. And we're going to get there maybe next month. We'll talk about how family receives instructions from God. Because without the instruction of God, you will, when you hear instruction of God, you receive the capacity to fulfill it.
Yeah, sure.
So when other people are living their lives and they seem to be making it, you don't know the instruction of God for them. You don't know whether they have the capacity to sustain that season that God is presenting them, if they are children of God. Because again, we can learn 1 or 2 things from children of God and how they do things and how they receive instruction. It doesn't mean that we should copy them, word for word, or A to A, B to B. But most importantly, when God speaks, when God institutes a family, is such like the kingdom of God, is such that you hear instruction, you know how close you are to the realm of the Spirit and how God is moving in the family. As much as I don't want we don't want this family clinic to be so spiritual, scriptural, that is still the foundation of sustainability. That is still how we can sustain our institution. Because if you say, this is what is trending, this is, marry a man and let him go, or, domesticate the man. That's another thing that I think we can, we can look into in the future about feminism movements and domestication of men, I use the word domesticate because there is nothing wrong in being a stay-at-home father or being a stay-at-home man. But what is going to be wrong in the process is when that man starts losing a sense of vision for his future or for his life or for the family. There is nothing wrong. I take shower with bathe my son. Nothing wrong with that. I cook meal for the family. Nothing wrong with that. I wash the dishes. Nothing wrong with that. But if I start losing a sense of God's call in the process, the instruction of God for me as a father, then that will become problematic. And what I want to say to us or to people watching is that as much as there's a dynamics of operation in your home, ensure that you have a clarity of God's mission in the process. And I appreciate what you said about comparison and copying people, because that is where people start losing a sense of God's call for their lives. In an attempt to meet up, or to I want to be the big man in town or the big woman in town, so I would rather do what my friends are suggesting than to listen to the instruction of God and the season God has placed me. I think it's important. This is very, very important. Even if you are considering marriage, that you understand the season of God. You understand the timing. No wonder the Bible talked about the children of Issachar. Is so important. And I can't stress this enough for us because we're just starting. 6 years in marriage, 4 years in marriage. We're just starting. And it seems like the negative things they've talked about concerning marriage, we are not experiencing that. That is the uniqueness of being a child of God. And I used to say this to my wife, even some of the things you cannot convince me of, the Holy Spirit will convict me. And that's what differentiates us than unbelievers. That is why we don't, even if we argue from morning to night, we, just by saying Father, you hear the voice. Just by praying, just by opening your scriptures, you hear the voice of God. You're supposed not to talk like that to your wife, or you're supposed not to relate to your children in this way, and then you go back. So there are other, we can list everything, but for the sake of our time.
Also, what I want to add here is that no marriage is like perfect.
No, no.
We have the ups and downs here and there. It can be in any form. And the best way to approach those challenges is just to work together.
Yep. Yes.
There's a place for argument because both of you came from different backgrounds.
Right.
So some things there'll be a little friction somewhere, but because the foundation is on Christ, they say like we always say that once you're losing the direction, go back to the mission. Why are you guys married? Why did you guys come together in the first place? Then you can begin to say, oh, okay. Maybe just this little moment, okay, well, it's fine, we're fine. We just talk about it and you move on, But not when you have this. So when you have these challenges and you guys can't come together, that means the foundation
is faulty.
Yeah,
and I like the one you brought up about mission. I don't know how best to say it, but the reality of it is that mission sustain marriages.
Yeah, sure.
Going back to the place of this is what God said, or this is what our family is about.
Yeah.
That alone should dissolve every form of annoyance or anger you have towards your partner, because at the end of the day, you're going to work and you're asking yourself, why am I working? If not for the sake of this family, or if not for the sake of this marriage. But when we get there too, we'll talk more about it next month, because there is this high level of individualism. We are married, but we do things separately, and I think we'll be in trouble if we don't see ourselves as one, and we don't have a sense of togetherness, in our marriages. So we're going to end there today, but we hope that maybe you've been able to pick one or two things in this family clinic. There will be a lot of dynamics to this third Sunday third Sunday in the month for our church, and we hope that one day you will step into the church and see this firsthand yourself and learn from us and grow with us, even as we continue to unfold the mission of God for our lives. Thank you. God bless you. We love you, and we're gonna see you again next month in this family clinic episode. Thank you, Brother Joseph. You're a great father and you're doing your best, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
But that is the goal of God, that we look back 20, 30 years, we'll be able to say, I made the right choice with the woman, I made the right choice with the man, and I'm thankful for my children.
Give me shelter, Lord, from this storm. As it poured, you made it cure. In an overcrowded mind, the hurt, it brings us down to where we reach for Him. Our God above has hands to heal, saves us from our faults and fears, giving